This episode is brought to you by Airbus, U.S. Space and Defense. Marine Corps Expeditionary Advanced Base operations require logistical support when and where Marines need it. The Airbus UH-72 Unmanned Logistics Connector provides proven performance and reliability alongside next-generation autonomous capability. As the Marine Corps revolutionizes warfare, the UH-72 Unmanned Logistics Connector evolves to support it. Visit AirbusUS.com to learn more. That's AirbusUS.com. We would like to thank Airbus, U.S. Space and Defense for sponsoring this episode. 2, 1. Hey, Scuttlebutt listeners, thank you for tuning in. Here we are, Modern Day Marine. We're making it happen. We're on the showroom floor. We got all kinds of cool stuff out here. We got a live fire range just not too far away. And we've got wonderful industry partners with us like Polaris. And so I'm so happy to be welcoming Chad and Bob to the show. Thank you guys for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
And you're here with Polaris, correct?
That's correct.
Yep.
And you guys on the showroom floor right now have the M-Razor. Is that correct?
That's correct. M-Razor Alpha.
M-Razor Alpha. Very cool.
Some people might know it as the ULTV for the Marine Corps program folks.
Okay, yeah.
Same vehicle.
All right.
Yeah, we got some cool stuff mounted on top of them. And also we have our 6x6 logistics vehicle. And we have our new high-powered variant as well.
Nice. Well, before we get into all that, I want to kind of talk a little bit about who you guys are.
Sure.
So, Bob, we actually cut similar blood and similar mud. You are a retired colonel, and you retired out of CD&I here in Quantico.
That's
right?
correct. So, yeah, I started my career early on in tanks and 29 Palms and augmented into logistics and rode that train for 28 years. And then that last 4 years of working at CD&I really helped me transition out into, other opportunities and just kind of learning that the requirements, the budgeting, the acquisition, everything that comes with it.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I mean, as a tanker, logistics is just, I mean, it's the same as, it's on par with like gunnery, right? Like
it sure is.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere if you can't.
No, we spent, the majority of our time was doing maintenance on the tanks, getting them ready to take out to the field. So it was a good start for my career and a good background throughout my career, remembering how important logistics is to everything you do in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. As an Amtracker, I mean, I think our sort of rule of thumb was 8 hours of maintenance for every 1 hour of operation, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So I definitely feel you there. And then, so Chad, and then you're coming as Chief Officer 5, retired recently 2 years ago, you said, right?
Correct. So I retired out of INL as the Motor Transport Field Occupational Field Manager. Spent 30 years fixing trucks, driving trucks, leading trucks, anything to do with wheeled transportation, that was me.
That's awesome. And then you have experience with Lieutenant General Schiroti, right?
I do. I retired out of INL about the same time he did.
Yeah.
So great boss to work for.
Yeah, amazing. So good.
And him and I served together as majors over in Okinawa. He was in Iwakuni, Japan, but we hung out quite a bit back in the day.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Nice.
Small world, Marine Corps.
Very small.
Very small.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys have some stories.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Bob, if you wouldn't mind, let's talk about you. So where are you from originally?
I'm from northern Michigan, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, the UP.
Yeah. I lived in Detroit as a little guy for like 9 years.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Cool. So, I grew up, it was extremely cold and graduated out of college up there. And I'm like, what am I going to do next? So ended up meeting up with the OSO and joined the Marine Corps for that 3-year tour, that turned into 28.
Wow, that's amazing. And then, so you said you started at 29 Palms, like any... and then I guess Iwakuni then is a field grade officer. And
a couple times overseas. So most of my career was West Coast Marine.
Yeah.
Did 29 Palms once, Camp Hilden twice, El Toro once, and then obviously,
El Toro.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the fires, by the way?
Oh yeah, I did on one of the hangars.
Yeah, I'm from San Clemente originally.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I did the mud run out there through the hangars back in the day. Pretty
Very
crazy.
Cool. Yeah. Do you and where are you now then?
I'm in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Okay.
Yep. And when I retired in 2011, I just transitioned. Liked it. Liked Virginia. Liked the weather. Liked the schools for my kids. So yeah.
Schools are great. And then you didn't go right into Polaris when you retired.
I did not.
Yeah.
I worked for a company that we actually did some work with Polaris, made some contacts, made some networks, and actually now I've been working with them for the last 5 years.
Okay. What was transition like for you? I mean, obviously moving around in the Marine Corps, it's as stressful as it is, it's also sort of hand delivered, right? You have your checklist, people
Yes.
come and do this stuff. Now you've experienced some transition outside.
Yeah, it was extremely challenging.
Yeah.
I pretty much hated the first year because I was working from home. You know, this was way before pre-COVID where
Right.
it was cool to do remote work. So I was doing that, and I didn't adjust very well. I had to get out of the house, go to like Caribou Coffee, Starbucks,
Yeah.
work a half a day, figure out a schedule, that sort of thing. So it was not an easy transition going from just being, in an office all the time, going to work with Marines, and then just kind of being home by yourself.
Yeah, for real.
So
And you've been with Polaris for, you said
5 years.
Yeah, very cool.
Yep.
And then what about you, Chad? You are from another colder place, but different. Maybe not quite.
Yeah,
as
not
cold.
Minnesota Polaris home cold, but it is definitely a little more wet and rainy in the Seattle-Tacoma area. So
Yeah.
I was born in Seattle, joined the Marine Corps out of Tacoma, Washington. Dad was an retired Army, so we traveled around. So that's the closest thing for home that I've had. So now that I've transitioned and lived in Stafford for now about 6 years, Stafford, Virginia, it's probably the longest I lived in one place
Oh,
in
wow.
my entire life. So yeah,
Oh,
that's probably my
interesting.
biggest, transition was not having to move. It's time to go somewhere. Come on, let's do
Yeah,
something.
you started to get the itch a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had I deployed, on a regular enough basis. Same thing when I retired. It was like, all right, now what?
Yeah.
I've been sitting here for a little too long.
I get to make choices now.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. And my choice is more Pop-Tarts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so good. And then, but you've said you've been with Polaris for 2 years now.
Going on 2 years now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I started working for them right out of retirement. Just happened to stumble across them in transition, so which made my transition a lot simpler.
Yeah.
To put it plainly. So I think I'm pretty fortunate, and I've also made it over the crest that most people transition through their first 2 or 3 jobs in the first 2 years as they're trying to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah.
I just happen to fall into a great company doing what I really enjoy.
Yeah,
so.
that's awesome. No, that is really that's something because, well, I guess Bob, I'm sure you can attest to some of that, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I was the first company I worked for. I stayed there 6.5 years, and all my peers were changing jobs within 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate to be with Polaris for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And really enjoy it.
It's so good, and it's so great to have. We talk a lot about, veteran. Obviously, as a Marine Corps Association, we're advocating for veterans. But it's interesting how that sense of community, how truly valuable that is. And I think that constant. For example, with LinkedIn, this is a total tangent, but when I looked at LinkedIn, when I see my buddies who are getting out and retiring, almost every 6 to 9 months, you're seeing their new thing.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I just got a new thing, and this congratulations, but dude,
Right.
I hope you find some place.
I hope you can settle somewhere.
Yeah, because it can't be good for just mental health, right?
Right.
always have.
I think it's challenging for sure, and I understand why folks do it in our positions. They want to find that home where they feel like they're making a difference.
Yeah.
And it's certainly never really just about pay at our point.
Well, it seems like Polaris is offering a lot of that because you guys here in Northern Virginia, they're headquartered out of Minnesota. Now you're here in D.C. for this. You guys have both been here with them for years now.
Right.
So it seems like they've got a pretty good veteran, or at least they have a good General Sharoti network, right? Because
they do.
He's plucking all of his people.
Yeah, for sure. That I think it's. In fact, our boss Mark Schmidt, who's also a retired CW05, I kind of gave him the lead with Polaris when we were looking for a program manager about 4 or 5 years ago. Like you said, so it's really about that networking, looking out for your fellow Marines.
Yeah.
fellow service members and, try to make the right fit.
Yeah, the Polaris government defense team it's about 50-50 folks that had some service connection, and then those that don't. But even the ones that don't are so passionate about the product and the customer, you wouldn't know the difference half the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice environment. I guess, Chad, going back a little bit on a rewind. So, as an enlisted Marine, what made you want to come over to the chief, the warrant officer ranks?
Yeah. So, funny story. So Private Wade checks into Camp Pendleton. He stands in his alphas in front of a particular master sergeant, who at the time only had 9 fingers. So he's got a dog underneath the desk. He's smoking a cigarette. He's got a cup of coffee. You know the old,
yeah,
you make it the gunner, you got the cup of coffee and the cigarette in one hand and the other. And I say, wow, this is a rough life. So then I go into the next office, and there's another master sergeant who I thought was in his 80s at the time when I'm 20 years old.
Yeah.
And he's got a full set of dentures sitting on his desk from drinking too much coffee and Coke all day. I'm like, man, this is a rough life. And so then I go and I have to check in with the chief warrant officer. And there was just something different. So even from a private, I said, I want to steer myself towards the chief warrant officer route, the master gunnery sergeant route, the sergeant major route. And be ready for them all. But that one always stuck with me. And when the opportunity came, at 12 years as staff sergeant, I took the opportunity and was fortunate to get selected.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool.
And then rode that train for 18 years of great time in the Marine Corps doing that job, supporting the service and all the Marines above and below me and around me. So.
Yeah, I know. I remember as a second lieutenant, maybe I was just gotten promoted to first lieutenant or whatever, but we were going out to do a CAC. They're called CACs back then.
I remember.
Yeah, and had to work with the Chief Warrant Officer 5 on whatever logistics thing we had to do, and same thing. Like there was just something different. I'd obviously been working with Chief Warrant Officers in a heavy junk unit like AAVs, but never like someone as salty and as crusty as a CW05, and there was just so much, like almost instantly, like this person's a wealth of knowledge. Like I need to like.
Yeah, and to your point, the second lieutenant's the most impressionable, moldable Marine officer.
Right.
Yeah, you could steer that lieutenant one way or the other based on on that first interaction with that crusty old chief warrant officer or master gunner.
Yeah.
So.
I do remember like every time I would say something like, "Nah, we can't do that." Like, what am I speaking a different language? Like, what is happening?
We've tried that. We've tried that.
These are good ideas, I promise. Well, as we're talking logistics, Polaris is trying to find that space, right? And something that our former commandant had talked about as logistics being the pacing function as we were looking at deterrence, finally great power competition, peer and near peer. The thing we can put forces all over the place, but if we can't supply them, we can't move them, and we can't sustain them, they're just going to be guys who are visiting shortly and then having to come home, right? And our enemies will know just to wait us out. And so one of the things, as I'm looking at the M-Razor and I'm looking at what Polaris is doing here, you guys are trying to answer that need, right?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. I mean, that from the get-go, it's really about the versatility, the transportability, that makes us different. That platform, and that's why there's so many other program offices within the Marine Corps outside of PM light tactical vehicles that want to put applications of their systems onto that platform. Mm-hmm. Really, again, it goes back to our expeditionary roots. So if you can't get these big pieces of equipment there and they're hard to sustain, then how are you going to do that in a force design sort of mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the Iron Mountain. I was part of the Long War, man. Like Al-Assad, Dwyer, Leatherneck, like all of these massive installations where I'll just expend it. Like I'll go full Winchester on everything I got because I know I'm gonna.
Right.
I'll get it later. We're not in that game anymore. Like I can't have a 23-ton MRAP as my ground lift.
Well,
for
you're also
infantry
not in the game of there's two more MRAPs waiting for you to come grab because you blew that one up.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
that's not the case anymore.
And so what is it about the M-Razor? Because, and I think you had mentioned it a little bit, Bob, either before we started recording or early on, but we've seen it in the field. Like, there are units using this and are coming back with feedback, right? Like, hey, this is great. We need something, like, add this, do this, right?
Yeah, so we're we started about 7 years ago with our first variant that the Marine Corps bought, and utility tactical vehicle. And again, when it went to the field, it was basically for a infantry logistics vehicle for that that infantry gunnery sergeant that's got the haul of stuff, all the supplies, the ammo, the water, the MREs, and the intent was it could go anywhere the infantry could go on foot, and it was also used with the recon. And obviously, once that was fielded, it was so successful that they said, "Oh, we want to make some changes." So, and that's how we went into this next generation, the ultra light tactical vehicle, and Jack can talk a little bit to that.
Yeah, the biggest difference between the two is the current ULTV M-Razor Alpha, the mobility that it brings the warfighter on the battlefield today. The legacy vehicle, which is still out, 2MEF has hundreds of them still. There's still some in 3MEF. They're still employed around the world. It just brings substantial increase in mobility and payload over the previous generation. So, like Bob mentioned, if the infantry battalion can go down the trail, then this vehicle should be able to go behind it. Keep to the goat trails and off the main roads for a protection standpoint and also mobility wise.
Yeah. And what does that look like? Like, obviously, if we're talking about an ultralight tactical vehicle, we're talking about sustainability, maintainability, flexibility. What is it about the M-Razor? And for our listeners, like, please Google MRZR.
Correct.
And through Polaris and take a look at it. I mean, it's cool as hell. But because it's light, like, how does it work?
Polaris is world renowned for off-road snowmobiles, ATVs, razors. I mean, that's what they do. So the engineering support, the product development support, just they're the class leader. Polaris is the class leader in off-road mobility, and taking all of that and putting it into a military product. And you also have the product support from parts, accessories, sustainment, backing you just makes it easier to sustain that vehicle around the world.
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
A lot of commonality among the commercial variants as well.
Yeah, and so I wanted definitely to highlight that because I think, and we had talked earlier about this idea, especially from a CD&I standpoint, where at least when I was there was an apprehension about tapping into the commercial market. Like, if you use the word COTS, it was just like, oh, that's a different briefing room. That's a different PowerPoint slide. Like, we're talking about, the POM, and we need to fund our thing. And the way we could do that is by we innovate and we show new technology that we're going to work. And it's a huge, long lead time for that. And there seemed to be a real apprehension. I don't know, Bob, did you feel that as well? Like,
I did. I mean, at that time, it was like, that COTS is nice, but that's not what we need.
Yeah.
I think definitely over the course of the last 10 years, there's been a big transition to at least looking at COTS, just because of the technology development is happening so much quicker.
Yeah.
On a lot of platforms. In fact, when the Marine Corps first bought the UTV, utility task vehicle, they actually looked at it almost like buying a computer, almost like we're going to use it for 3 to 5 years and we're going to get rid of it. Obviously, they've kept it a little longer because they always do.
Right.
But and so when we did this next generation, the ultralight tactical vehicle, they wanted some improvements. They wanted to last a little longer. So Polaris answered the bell on the requirements.
Yeah, and I think it seems like it's very intentional that I'm sitting here with two Marine logisticians as Polaris is fielding logistics vehicles.
Sure.
Marine Corps, right? I mean, I guess I say that somewhat tongue in cheek, but that's a thing, right? Like, Polaris does seem to be seeking you guys out because I would imagine because your feedback is invaluable.
Yeah, we didn't mention it. I mean, my title is Defense Product Support Manager. So if it has to do with parts, if it has to do with manuals, if it has to do with training, that's my realm, and I've got teams that support that, and we can tap into all of the greater Polaris resources to support that. So if somebody needs an engine in Africa, we've got resources to do that. So
that's amazing.
And I'm helping out mostly with just business development. So a lot of our sales rep, we're doing foreign military sales. We've got a whole group over in the UK. So it's looking at some Army. There's companies that are doing small business initiatives that want to put some system on a M-Razor Alpha. So just helping with that and understanding that, okay, yeah, it's great. We've got the ULTV contract and we've got a contract with SOCOM, but what's next?
Yeah.
So we're not just sitting here happy like, okay, what do we need to do? That's why we're looking at some of the changes we've made to the M-Razor Alpha, the ULTV right now, based upon feedback we received from the Marine Corps over the last couple of years.
That's great. And I think that feedback loop, I mean, it's only going to help everybody.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing, the generals always talk about it. And every time they brief, I've been listening to their briefs the last couple of years, they want to say collaboration. Collaboration is the key. And it really is. So we want to have that open dialogue with the government.
Yeah.
And make sure that from a Polaris perspective, we have a really clear understanding of, are there challenges with our current system and what do we need to do to leverage, Polaris and big Polaris and being the off-road mobility leader in the entire world. What can we do to help the Marine Corps in force design?
Yeah. It is a challenge. And
right.
It's great to see our industry partners.
And I would just say, Vic, I think we're getting a lot of positive feedback. That's why we're seeing we're seeing a lot of different program offices within the Marine Corps want to use our M-Razor Alpha because they see the benefit as well.
Sure. No, I mean the modularity alone. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. If you walk around the show this week, and for the listeners, I mean, there's probably a dozen Polaris products showcased in other booths. Just
right.
Yeah.
Legacy vehicles to the new vehicles. There's a lot of integration. There's a lot of technology being used on those vehicles today. So it's fun to see.
Yeah, it is. This has been a lot. This has been really cool, and I can't wait to see more of it. So, well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time to be here. I know, obviously, you guys got a lot going on, but I hope you're having fun. And it's
only day one.
It's only day one. That's what I say. We're not even halfway through it. So I guess I probably should pace myself. But
there's a big crowd. There's a lot of cool stuff here. So I would advise anybody out there, they need to definitely come and spend a couple hours for sure.
Yeah, for real.
Wear a good pair of shoes, too.
Exactly. I'm going to say, wear some comfortable shoes. Well, again, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by the Marine Corps Association and Modern Day Marine. Calling all Marines and their families. Gear up for the Modern Day Marine Expo at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center, going April 30th to May 2nd. Uncover the latest military innovations and don't miss the exclusive Military Spouse Summit. Hear firsthand from leaders about policies impacting and supporting Marine Corps families. It's your chance to be informed and connected. Secure your spot today. Visit MarineMilitaryExpos.com for more details and to register. That's MarineMilitaryExpos.com. We would like to thank the Marine Corps Association and Modern Day Marine for sponsoring this episode. Scuttlebutt is a production of the Marine Corps Association. You have heard the voices and contributions from Major Vic Rubel, USMC retired, Nancy Litchman, William Trudy, and our guests. Ty Frazier is the editor, sound engineer, and technical producer. The Marine Corps Association is not an agency of the U.S. government. The opinions expressed in this episode are the personal views of the participants and do not reflect the official position of the United States Marine Corps, the Department of Defense, or the Marine Corps Association.